Hello to everyone, this is Vishal, and so we are on the next part of ongoing session of the Dagger in the Kotlin, and we learned that how to implement the Dagger in the Kotlin in the first basic tutorial. So in a playlist we have all these stuffs on the Kotlin series, and today we learn how MVVM Dagger together works with your repository and your view models, these kind of stuffs we have. And it is also be interesting series because of that we use in your app nowadays with the Kotlin, those who work with the Kotlin. So just learn it and learn the basic steps of how you can use the view model repository using the Dagger. But today I will discuss about the single view model, single repositories on your activity, and on the next series of that is the second part of this MVVM Dagger, or we can say the third part of the complete series. We will learn that how we can use the multi-binding techniques where we have a multiple repositories, multiple view models. So just see these two videos and learn how you can implement in your app. And those are beginner and learn these things, so just go for my previous session in which we have learned how we can use the Dagger in the Kotlin. And now you have to work with this MVVM Dagger approach. So as we know that we have a repository where we have some kind of informations you get from the web view, or that means, or you can say the web services, or you have a local database. So we have to inject that repository, and we have to interact with this view model and that view model. So here we have learned one thing, that is the view model factory. So last time what we have learned, that if we have any information, we can use it or inject it as your, I mean, you create a module for that, and that module you have to put in the component, and that component you have to work with the activity. That's simple steps. But here we are working with the view model, so that means there is some conventions, there's some rules when working with the view model, and because of we have to maintain the standard of this. So whenever you work with the view model and repository, we need a one more thing, that is called your view model factory. That factory or a provider, we have to put that which view model we have to get interact with, and in the component, and that component we have to call in activity. So the same things we have, but only one extra thing we are, or extra feature we can say, that is your view model factory, view model provider, that we have to learn how we can interact with this. So we learn these steps one by one in practically. So you follow these steps and learn the simple Dagger in your MVVM approach. So now we have to start this. Number one step, inject the repository. It is a source and want to show it in your activity. So first we have to create basic features and how we can learn it. So this is your Android Studio and you learn on that. And the same we have to work with all generated stuffs, Kotlin Cat, and these implementation with your Dagger. So here we use working with the view model, live data extensions, and daggers. Okay, so let's start it in your Android Studio. Okay, so first we have to create some folders for here. So that means the first package is your repository be here. You can put your repository, and here we have a new package, that's your view models. In the future we put all view models here, because of today we learn a single view model. And one more thing we have to learn, that is called one package is for factory. And if you want to go for the di folder, but I just go with the main activity as I described you on the last time. Same pattern we have to follow. Otherwise you can create a separate folder. So here first point is we have to get one more repository, that is a new Kotlin file, and that Kotlin file is your repository. So we have to call this repository be here, and this is your class repository, and we need to inject that repository here. And you can say this is your constructor for the injection, and this is your function, and I want to something in this function, just a string type we can get it, just I can say get data. And maybe this function you can call it on your array list or whatever. I will describe you how you can put, or how you can create a recycler view on that with the Kotlin Dagger, and a small project on that, but you first clear your funda. So this is a string kind of function. Maybe you can get it from the retrofit. We'll describe you later how you can call the retrofit here with the Dagger. So this is Dagger MVVM. So these things happen, a simple function on your repository. Now we have to go for the view model, and the Kotlin file is my view model. So here you can say again, this is my view model, and this is where you have to inject that be here. So you can call the inject, alt enter, this is your constructor, but here we have to call that private val. This is your repository, and that repository be here, and here we need an extension kind, that is your view model, that's your class, that's the primary constructor. Okay, so we call that all the things, and here we need to get access that particular values from the repository. So this is called your get data view model. So that means at this time this data be in the view model, and I'm just giving the name just to clarify the things. So here you can see this is a well, and my name, my Dagger name you can say, and that Dagger name be your repository, and that repository we can get data, and that we have to return as in a my Dagger name. So that is a function which we need to call on our UI. Okay, that is on your main activity. So these things will happen. This our view model be ready, our repository be ready. So if you go for the doc, so the first 2 point P, inject a repository and create a view model and call that function. So this, and the third point is how to create a view model factories. That's very interesting. Why we need this factory? Because of there is some conventions for the view model, some rules. Whenever you want a mapping of particular view model in your activity, you just say that we have to provide that particular view model on that. So need a view model provider dot factory for this, and for this we need to make a class Kotlin that is called your my view model factory. At this time we give the name, and in my next session I will describe you if you have a multi-bindings. That means if you have a multiple view models and multiple repositories, so how you can get the data in your uh, in that your UI or the activity. So that means if you want to bind two data be there, that means two view models on the single activity, so that's we have to learn, and everything should be in this view model factory. That means mapping. So with all this stuffs on the next session, but today we have to learn by single activity and single repository. First you have to clear your basics, and here you also inject that, and we need a constructor we also here, but the constructor we need a kind of private val, and here you can say that my view model provider, and that view model provider that provides something. So that means that is a provider of inject. Okay, and that means we have to provide something. That means I want a particular view model on that, and here it works before our view model provider dot, you can see this is our factory, and here it gets some red, that means there is some implementation for the members, alt enter, and you can get the things with here. Okay, so here what you have to do, that means directly we work with this, so we have to return, and that return be as an we can say that, sorry, you just say this is my view model provider dot we have to get, and that's be your as a our T. Okay, so that means it just simple create a view model factory for that particular mapping. That's our model class in which we have to work. We have to map that factory of particular view model. So it's very simple single line, but in future we have to change something because of we need a multiple view models. On that we can create this class be as we can say that we can call the multiple view models on that. Okay, so let see these things. This be ready, repository be ready, view model be ready, factory be ready, and this is our third steps cover. So view model factory provides a view model in the module, so you can recognize which models we can get the interact with activity. Now we have to create the module and again the component. So for this you just go for the activity. I'm making this here, and for this you need to make a module, and that module I'm just making the abstract kind. We need to work on that. So that means class my module, and yeah, so here last time what we have done, we provides the things because of we directly call the classes, but here we have a view model provider, so we just say that we have to bind that particular function so we can get access these things. So here we have a bind, you can give any name to that. So here you can give the name bind view model factory, and that view model factory we can go with that factory, and that factory, that is our view model sorry, this is our my view model factory. Okay, because of here we work with that, and this is your view model provider dot factory. So that means we need to get access this function value so that we can call that. So whenever you work with the component of this module, it just bind it. So for the bind it, what we need it, that means we need it at binds, so that is called your dagger binding. So whenever you bind that particular value for that factory, that means it interact on that data on your component. So that is the component. So here we can work with that component. So this is your component, and if you go with that component and you work with the module, so last time what we described, so that means you put all the modules in your component, and that is the bridge between your source and destination. Okay, so first we have to create an interface for this, and you can say this is your my component, and when you compile it or we can say build it, so it create a dagger component. So they create a class for you that is called dagger my component. So interface my component, and here you have to bind that or inject that particular activity. So that's your main activity, and here what we have learned, that means okay, first we check it and build it, then we call the module class be here. So first we rebuild the project and check the components be here. Okay, so let's see what happened with the component. So here we can say this is your dagger my component dot create dot inject. This I think we have done last time. These things easy, nothing, just we have bind today. And how we can pass this my module, last time we have learned that we need a modules, and you can put array of modules whatever be your requirement. So here I am doing my module, and this is your class. So that means you have to pass that my module on in this component. Okay, so easy. And now we have to call values be here. Okay, one more thing, that sometimes what happen, we have some warnings. So how we can suppress that, will describe you some other day what is exactly is this. So here I'm doing unchecked cast. So that means it is used as to suppress the unchecked cast warning, so nothing else. Okay, so simple. And here we have a main activity, and here what we do, you need to inject something, and whenever you want to inject, so that means we have to work like late init where, and first we need a factory. So our factory be we can say ViewModel provider dot factory. And here one more thing, this is my ViewModel, so just call that. And for this what we needed, that means we need a call of this particular my ViewModel to as an ViewModel providers dot of. There's a difference between when you work with the providers and provider. Okay, so it works with the factory, and that factory we have to learn to get something. So that something class be my view model, and here that is your class dot java. So that means you can get access that class easily, and you can say this is my view model, and here you want to call something, so this is your get data view model. Okay, and you want to show be here on the text at this time, because of here it is a hello world now, but we have to change something. So what we need it, the id is text val. So this is a string kind, so I'm directly using this text val dot text is equals to my view model dot get data view model. So that is a very simple, learn how to can that, how can get that, and run this, and let's see what happens. So that means once it's finished, so you can see that particular text using that tagger. And after that we work with the live data also, so you can learn how you can call the live data in your project. Okay, so let's see what happened here. Yeah, so this is a Dagger MVVM, and it works well. And now what we have to do, we just go for the live data. So here you can see that if we have any value that is called mutable live data, and you can say this is a live data for any value you can get it, because whenever you work with the repository you work with the live data mostly. So this is, and we have done many times how we can work with the live data in your view model approaches. So here you can say that this is get my mutable data, and I want to give some values to that mutable live data dot value, and here I'm giving the name to that data as an this is a live data dagger. Okay, so and one more thing, that means we have to return this kind of value. So you can say get my live data, and that get my live data we have to call as a mutable live data, and that is your string. That means we can say the getter for this generally, and you have to return that mutable live data. Okay, so that's very simple, and we have to go for the view model, my view model, and that view model we just go and use the same. So here you can say that where result data, and that result data be as mutable live data, and this is your string type. Okay, and that means this is the data you have to work, and like, so whenever you work with this, that means you have to return something. So for this you need a function, and that fun you can say call live data, because of we have to get access with this. Okay, and here you can say that repository, and that repository dot get, this is your our, you can get it, that is our mutable live data. So uh, what's function name be here? Yes, get mutable live data. So that means whenever it tracks, and now we have to use that particular value be here. So that means on the return type we need it, that is your function again. So you just copy paste that whatever you have done here, but little bit change in it. That means here we can map that result data. This is your result data, and this is your repository dot get my live data. So that means, and here you have to return that result data. So that means you have to show that particular value be there. This is for calling and this is for show the values on your main activity. So no need of this at this time. We have to call some other function. So what we have to do, we have to call the call live data. So you can say my view model dot call live data, and you can say my view model dot get live data dot observe this comma observer. So that means here you can call that, and here you can say that text value dot text equal to whatever be it is it. Okay, it is a string kind of this, you get the name. So that's very easy for the mutable live data, and check it what happened. Okay, so let's see. Oh, this is a live data dagger. So that's very interesting whenever you work with the live data and your simple string. So that's you have learned how we can do that, and we have covered all the 6 points. That's be very easy. How we can inject the repository, then create the view model, then call the function, then create a model factory, and then bind it with view module, and that module we have to call within the component, and that component that is called the bridge between the source and destination we call in your activity. So simple follow steps, and you work with this MVVM approaches. So I think it's very interesting, and on the next session I will describe you if you have a multiple view models be there or multiple live data be there, how you can get access with the multi bindings and how we can provide the things be there. So that's very interesting in the next session. And because of we are in two learning phases, on a Java we are working with the TDD, test driven development, and here in Kotlin we are working with the Dagger scenarios. So soon we are on my next video. Thank you so much. We have to wind today.